Okay, I'm Dr. Cott again. This is the third video we're doing of the SMART Museum here in Nolanville, Texas. And this is open to the public and it's got many rooms. We've already got video on that. But now what we're doing today is testing some various rooms. We worked on earlier the green screen room. This is a room, the microscope that ties into the Citizen Scientist Project for Water Quality Control in Bell County. And this is an extension of that in Nolanville, doing Nolan Creek, which is one of the feeders into our area and into our two lakes, Lake Stillhouse and Lake Belton. And we also have a dam here that's part of this water system. So to testing the water, they're starting a citizen scientist group, and we'll meet at certain times and we'll go out and test the water, and that usually implies bringing the water back and putting it under a microscope. So what you're looking for under the microscope, depending on the technique you use, you'll be looking for fungi, algae, bacteria, and so on. So I'm a previous doctor, so I've studied all these. I worked 7 years in the medical lab, so fairly familiar with bacteriology and so on. So I didn't do a lot of it because at that point I was young and the supervisor didn't let us do bacteriology. But anyway, I used a microscope for every day probably for 34 years of my life. So this is a super microscope that somebody has hacked. So in Mecca we also teach how to hacking. So we've actually hacked one microscope and 3D printed parts for it, but we were never successful. So evidently it looks like whoever did this was successful on this microscope, and I have some microscopes like this that we use for teaching and in Mecca. So anyway, this is kind of just a primary microscope. So in the microscope, I'm not sure where we will do with the SMART Museum, but we plan on teaching what we call bright field microscopy, and then what we call dark field, which is better for water and things in water, and then phase microscopy, and then maybe terminally fluorescent microscopy. So our microscopes will do dark field, phase, and bright field. So this is a bright field microscope. Down here you can see all it is a platform on spacers, and underneath here there is some kind of jury-rigged electronic system. I don't know, microcontroller or microcomputer, or just a chip with some a PCB board. So this is a microscope setting on top of that, and that's right underneath the microscope. So looks like maybe it gives you a higher power light. Now when I start making a more classy video on this, you'll see that I have a light like that for medicine that's almost as big as that box there, and it's so heavy you couldn't weigh it. But that is many years ago. Now we have LCD, so I presume they're pushing the light up through here through the regular microscope. But then the very unique thing about it is somebody's jury-rigged that looks like a 3D printed box here and put goggles on there, and goggles with phones. So more than likely somebody is starting a company doing this. So on here, when you look through here, which we're going to try to show you some views, you will actually see this world of 3D. They were called 3D movies in the past, and you could build your own goggles with a box, the Google box. We've done lots of that. Or you can 3D print that kind of goggle system. So these are goggles. They do have a room here with the most up-to-date goggles called Oculus. And Oculus 3, it's the ones that Mecca has, the ones that they have, and so on. And with that, you get what we call the immersion effect. That's VR, visual reality, and artificial reality. So it's like you're inside of that area. So They have a room that we'll show later on in another video where the young people will come in and they'll bat balls around looking at these goggles. And you'll see them doing all kinds of things standing on a round circle. So what I'd like to try to do now is Sconce Mill. So what I'm looking at is a logo on Sconce Mill. And I'm going to see if it changes anything. Maybe push a button here. I don't see any buttons to push. I'm going to put a different slide in. And I presume the world that we're working in, we're going to teach now, is what we call smart slides. Smart slides can have a QR code on it. It can have an RFID on it or an FC, and then it could have your specimen. In this case, it looks like the specimen might be part of being smart. So let's see. Okay, now I'm seeing, and I'm going to read it. This is a movie, more or less. Muddy water. In the water is the San Gabriel River flow. There we have where city soils, upper farms, and more lush. Then we have some algae, which microscope can spot these samples. And then a split screen. So actually, which microscopes you spot, okay? And it's going through different kinds of things you'll see in water. They are diatoms right now, and you'll see them microscopic at a probably low power. There's pilophotons, planktons. And then down at the bottom is the text. You can read the text. So, oh, and that one's up. That's interesting. These are different movies on slides. I've never seen that done yet. Now we're going to put in another one, and hopefully, I'm in hopes that this thing will put out a video in HDI, which I presume it will. Now it talks about the Spanish word. River flow through northern East Kerr County. Colorado River coming from Austin. That's interesting. Which microscope organisms can you spot in this sample, Roy? See how much you can get through there. Just follow the video through. Either one or two of them, if you can stay in focus. I don't know if you're going to be able to read them, but when we put it on a big screen, you probably will. Okay. Here's one of these microscope slides, and this is a smart slide now, so come in as close as you can, see if you can read around the edges. Can you read anything on Zoom? Great. Let me get another one. Hopefully they tell you what they are. And tell me if I have it upside down. That one looks like it says Colorado on the top. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let me see if I hear anything. No, not hearing anything, so maybe they don't have audio, but here you can also see earphones, which is not hard to get audio if you program audio, but again, that's a pretty powerful system. I'm not sure what kind of chips these are, but we have these little round ones like this called tags that we use for RFID and near field communication. We haven't tried to put anything on like that video yet, so I'm not sure how they did that, but we will know very soon. Here's a view sample ID chart. So this is a chart to help the young people or older people, whoever's going to get involved with this senior citizen scientist program and help Bell County and City of Nolanville and the SMART Museum do water control. And interesting enough, one of these slides just talked about Kerrville County, not too far from here, Hill Country, Texas is called, just was almost devastated with flood. We had a couple flash floods and over 100 people died in it. Some of our friends who are part of Mecca organization live within that floodplain, and they actually had their 2 cars at a farm wash away. So anyway, we do need to know about flood control. We do need to know about the safety of drinking the water. Yesterday in our newspaper was a headline on boil your water. So it's not uncommon for boiled water to come up for this neighborhood or that neighborhood or this city, or we all know about Detroit, where they've had many water problems with the whole system, and now there's many issues going on over that, suits and so on. So here are these kits. And this is called Lakewar. That's what I thought. I already looked this up. Came up with that company, Lakwar. And they're the ones who make the microscope sample slides, the slides I just showed you. They're prepared ultra clear, ultra glass, and they will have, I'm not sure if they'll have the video on there or just the samples. Let's see what the second one's got. And here are 120 piece prepared microscope slides from, again, Lakwa. And that's a regular microscope slide case. And on here, I'm not sure, I've got to be very careful. This is heavy, so it's full of slides. So it looks like they're ready to teach. Pretty high power biology. This is probably junior year, I'm not going to get it, junior year, senior year high school biology. Maybe freshman, depending on if it's a tag class or AP class. So anyways, SMART Museum's ready to roll when the new school semester starts here next month. So again, would like you all to join us. We've got a lot to offer here, and you're welcome to come and learn from us. We do teaching, STEM, teaching every Sunday. So you're welcome to join us. A lot of that will go on Zoom or on YouTube. So we can do it live. We can show microscope views live. I practiced last night, but we didn't get to it in the green room. But we can show you this thing live. I have a relation in Tennessee who just sent me 2 pictures. One was a horsefly leg from a microscope that we sent to her, and she starts college in the fall too. So we may be working with that college in Tennessee. So anybody wants to tie into us, in this academic world and collegiate world, you're welcome to.